Hello, good evening to you all. Welcome back. This is Manuel. Today we'll be making another kind of concept in Illustrator. Okay, this is Photoshop right now, and this is not the logo we'll be designing. So take your eyes off this. Okay. Today we're making a flyer design. I wonder why we'll be using Illustrator today. That is because we find it difficult using Illustrator for designing flyers. So today we'll be basically designing a flyer, and the thing about this is not that you can't do this on Photoshop, but it's so difficult to handle this situation on Photoshop, like creating the vector shapes and those curves and importing them to Photoshop is so rigorous and stuff like that. So today we are going to learn how to design everything right inside Illustrator. Okay, so this is going to be very simple, the simplest format. I'm going to tell us what will be needed, and this is not just to show you how to prepare a simple design, but this also has to expand your mind. Okay, I'm going to expand your mind so you can create anything that have to do with flyers in Illustrator. But for today we'll be designing a Facebook cover page for this. So I'm making a Facebook cover page for a logo design I did previously. So without wasting much of our time, let's get right into it. So we'll be creating a new document, and that will be with 1000 times 500. And 500 is the width, 1000 is the 1000 is the height, 500 is the width. So if you're not satisfied or comfortable with this, you could reduce it a little by clicking on the artboard tool. So when you click on the artboard tool, you see this outline all over the artboard that you created. So now you can shrink it closer to whatever size, and while you're shrinking, you'll be seeing the height in the pixel. Let me show you closely. You see the height over here. So the width is still 1000 and the height is 412. We want to make it to 400. Okay, so we have 400 now. Creative. Okay, so now we are done. Click on A, or just click the direct selection tool and click outside. So now we got this. What we need is to create our color or gradient palette. I usually tell us that this is the first thing you do before you get into any design, whether it's logo design or whatever kind of design you'll be making. Okay, so I'll be creating a simple color here. I'm making this blue because we'll be working with blue today. Okay, I think I like this blue. And if you notice this color, I changed this to blue, and this is what I get. I get a gray color. That's because in the color panel, we are in grayscale. So in grayscale, you change it to RGB. So when you change to RGB, it automatically goes to the color you want. So now we got this is the artboard, and what we need to do next is to create a new layer. So creating a new layer, you drag from this part to the end of this. Okay, so we have a new layer, and this is the first thing that we ought to do. So the second thing we need to do is to draw a shape where the logo is going to be. So let's import our logo so we see what it's going to look like. So where is our logo? It's in document. Very good. So this our logo will be we're using, and the owner of this design don't want this logo to change color, but still he wants a blue background. So what are we going to do here? We're going to create a separate outline where we're placing the logo to make it look simpler. So we are going to use the a pen tool. You draw around here. We can just draw a straight line here and close it up here. What we are going to do is simply selecting the two of them, then select on our shape builder tool. Click on our shape builder tool, then we hold the Alt key and drag all through here like zigzag. You understand? Just drag all through here to erase that part. You understand? So we have this simple part now. We are not just going to place our logo here, but we are just going to place it there. Okay, so now what next you're going to do is to make some curves on the edges to make this look creative. We are going to use our curvature tool. Click on the curvature tool. Now you create some points, some anchor points here, and this anchor point we'll be using it to make some curves that are going to make some really little sense to our design. Okay, so make some curves, just be creative. Okay, just be creative, So now we got that. What next we got to do is let's see if we can expand this. No, I don't think it makes much sense. No, so this is simply the first stage of what we are about doing. So the next stage to what we are about doing is to make our articles. Okay, so next thing you do, you create your article. So for this article, I'm going to write it event management with capital letter. This is where you use a hierarchy. So you can expand it and use our basic bold font. So we use made. Very good. And we change the color to white. That's good. Now we create the next. Can duplicate this. Then we select, we create wedding, party, and business. So we say wedding, still in capital letter, okay? Party and business. Anyway, I make mistake, please correct me. Not very good at spellings. I don't care. So now we have to reduce it a little more. So the hierarchy says event management and the one beneath it says wedding, party, and business. Now to specify these three, to make it point it out and make this obvious that we are working with this, these three are bullets. We can create a simple bullet line. So just create a simple bullet line here. You can leave it at white. We'll come back to the color we'll be using for that. So you see, it's getting very serious now. Next thing you are gonna do is to create, don't mind the shout in the background, husband and wife quarreling in my compound. She will not die. So now what next we are going to do is create a circle. Okay, this circle is where we are going to place our image to make it look nice. Okay, so we create a circle. It's not actually going to be a circle. It's not actually going to be a circle, but it's going to be a shape that we are going to manipulate with the curvature tool. So select the curvature tool again, like I said before. Then we can start building our shape. So draw this angle, create another anchor point here, draw it up, create another anchor point here, and draw it down. See what we have here? You can reduce this a little more. So now we have this. You can make this a little closer. I don't like this. I thought this was better. Okay, very good. Okay, so now we are good with this. This is what I want and I'm okay with it. If you're not okay with your own, you can continue editing. For me, I think I'm okay with this. I'm not very good in flyer design, but I think we are going to make this look really cool. Okay, we're going to make this look really cool. Try your possible best to make something glaring and clear to carry your designs in them. So now we have this. What we are going to do is we're going to create the Instagram details. So you duplicate this again by holding your Alt key and dragging down. So now you select, and we are going to write at the name of the event at Initiative Inc. Okay, so this is the name, and now we're going to import our Facebook, Instagram, and our Twitter probably. So I have a place in my color palette where I prepare those. So let me show you how I organize my stuffs. In my color palette, I prepare my stuff so I can easily come back to them and use them. So you see, very simple. So we can select only Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, and we come back to our design and place them. So these designs, these icons, they are pure vectors I created, and I'm using them constantly on other designs. So here we click option and change the colors to white, so it can work perfectly. You can zoom closely so we can arrange this perfectly according to their alignment. So Facebook comes first, Instagram goes second, and Twitter follows. So now we are done with that. Place it right here. Okay, place it right there, and we are almost done. So we're gonna lock this so that when we select everything here, you're not going to select the background too. Okay, so we are almost done with this now. Very good. We're almost done with this. What we are gonna do next is to import the image we want to use here. So I like this resourceful website. It's called 𝗙𝗂𝗋𝗋. 𝗙𝗂𝗋𝗋, you find image on HD quality. So we are gonna find event management images. Okay, when you click on event management images, we should see event management. Can't see any event management image here. Event planning. Let's see if we're gonna find that. What's going on here? So let's try events management design. What's this? So okay, we find the image we are looking for, so this is okay for us to go with. So we click on it and click on download, then download on this. You can choose a simpler or you can choose a higher resolution if you want to work with a very heavy or bold resolution. So click on download, it will automatically download your file to your desktop. So now we have the file in the desktop. We are going to move it in here and move it at the back of this layer. So get the way out. So we import our image, we expand it a little so you can cover the whole edges of this vector shape. Okay, so now next thing we are going to do is to move this image. Watch closely what I'm doing. I'm moving from here. We are moving it at the back of this ellipse icon, this icon we created here. So it's at the back now. What next we are going to do? Control X. What next we are going to do is okay, what next we are going to do now is select the two of them, then click option, then create clip masking. So this is the problem many people are having. They don't know how to create clip masking in Illustrator. It's very simple to do. This is just what you're gonna do. But these other parts that are popping out of this other angle, we don't know what to do with that, but I'm gonna teach you what to deal with that. Remember, I'm not teaching you how to design this perfectly, but I'm teaching you the little tricks you need to know to move on with this design. So very simple, we have created that. What next we are gonna do is before creating that, let's make this have a stroke with a gradient that I will appreciate. So increase the stroke, we go to the gradient tool over here. Then we don't want this to go to the back. We want the gradient to be in the stroke. So now we select the gradient to be on the stroke. Now select gradient to be on the stroke. We have to select our colors now. So the white part is gonna be very light blue, okay, and the other part is gonna be a very dark blue. But I don't enjoy the blue I find here, so I'm gonna go right here to find a better blue. So I think this is out of the blues. So now we select everything together, click option and create clip masking. Now we create the clip masking, we have to start creating our gradients again. So we have the gradient there created. Next thing we're gonna do, we're gonna touch some little kind of designs that are gonna make stuff look a little bit realistic. What is going on? Why is this wasting my time? So we create this. We don't want it to be in a stroke format. We want this to be in a yellow color or green or whatever color that could be. So I say green, I like green. So we move the green above this layer and reduce the opacity by clicking this transparency option. So reduce the opacity to about 28 or 25, whatever works for you. So we can duplicate this. We are using it again. Hide. We duplicate this. We are using it again on this other layer. But this time around, we are using the gradient for this. So we increase the size here. Increase the size here. Move it up a little. We are going to make this blue gradient. Now we are going to increase the opacity. You see, the opacity doesn't work because it's already on a blue background. So we're going to increase the opacity. Then go to our gradient tool and work on it. So we have that over there. Next thing we're going to do, we're going to duplicate this and make it yellow over here. So let's make this pure yellow icon. Okay, very good. Now we are going to reduce the opacity because you're not going to use the same opacity on all because they are not all in the same color. So we have exactly what we are looking at. So this is simply what I'm looking at. So the first thing you understand in this design is the use. Okay, let me make this the same gradient for the background. For this particular one, I want to make it the same gradient it have here. I don't want that, I want this. Very good. So we're going to pop, since this is here, we don't want it there. We want that. Let's try that in the background and see how it works. Is it nice? No. Let's go with this part is going to be blue and the other stroke is going to be the gradient. So we're going to increase the gradient. But now you see the problem we are having. The gradient is popping inside this line. We're going to use this icon over here, this one particularly, to push it out. So when you click it, watch at this angle, since you can see this angle. So when you click it, or let me zoom out so you see. When we click it, it pops outside of it. Very interesting, very interesting. So now it pops outside of it. We can continue doing our thing. So don't look at this as it is. It looks wacky. This is not how you see it on Photoshop or when you are working on other tools. Photoshop hides these angles. Probably, let me show you an instance of what I'm saying. So we're going to create a new document. And when we create a new color in Photoshop or a new tool in Photoshop with a different color, it's going to hide the other parts. You see, we don't see anything in this angle. But that's a totally different case in Illustrator. And that's why people are running away from Illustrator, because after the whole work, they don't know how to arrange their work. It looks very tattered. That's what I'm going to show you. Two things you're going to learn from this tutorial is how to create clip mask. Make sure the image is at the back of the layer you want to clip mask. Okay? And secondly, how to also clip mask the whole work. I don't mean this. Look at what I'm trying to do now. Look at what I'm trying to do. Go to view and trim view. Look at what happens when you trim this view. Go to view and trim the view. It makes everything disappear. Wow, this is interesting. But you know what? When we export this, or when we try to export this, you find it difficult. You see, all the layers are still available. Let's export it and see what we are going to have. See, I'm trying to show you everything that I experienced and how I solved the problem. It's going to be very simple for us. So now we have exported it. Let's find it here. So see how our work looks. It looks very stupid. Can't you see? All those rubbish still pops out, and that's not what we want. Okay, so we don't want to make stuff that look real in Illustrator, but outside the world it doesn't. So we're gonna zoom back. We're gonna go back to our previous statues, and no, okay. We're gonna go back to trim, and we are going to release the trimming. So now what next are we going to do to make this design look interesting? What next? I think I'm okay with this. You can walk around with adding some, some effects and all those dots you guys add and all those effects you add that makes things look weird and interesting. You can just walk around with that and make the whole thing look interesting. But I don't care about those ones because I don't do much of this. I have people who handle these stuff, but I think I have to make this tutorial for you guys to learn too. So there are two more things we are going to do in this job to make it more clear. First, we are going to place a white background at the back of this whole work. Forget about what we have here. This is just an artboard. An artboard that is white doesn't mean your background is white. Let me show you what that simply entails. So after saving your work, when you click here in the Illustrator, behind our logo is a white background, but in the image behind our logo is no background, and that doesn't make any sense. This is not the logo we are designing. This is a flyer design. So what we are going to do is to create a background there first. So we draw a line, no, not a circle, it's a rectangle this time around. So we don't want this. We want this to be white. So we start from this angle, we create to this angle. Okay, good. Now we are done with this. Click option and move it to the back. Okay, arrange, send to the back. Now we have this simple tool, but we still have one single problem. Is this stuff that pop out. Now if we save this file, it will still come with this white background, okay, instead of being transparent in this angle. So what next we are going to do is to also draw another line above there. Let's deselect everything. Draw another line above here. Very good. Now we draw all this line. Remember, if you want to clip mask anything, make sure the object you want to clip mask is above it. Okay, now we press the object you want to clip mask, select everything, click option and mark as clip mask. Boom. This is our work. You see, this is simply how to arrange your work in Illustrator. Make it look neat. And designing flyers in Illustrator is more simpler than Photoshop. Far more simpler, because you drawing your tools, making all these things look realistic. It makes a lot more sense than in Photoshop. So if in case we selected these two layers here, I just don't think Control 2, okay, Z. So if in case we can just click on this angle and select this one particularly, and we duplicate it. If you duplicate it, you can now rotate it this side and just make something look very realistic. It's very simple. You can add another image there and your work is done. So this is simply how to create your work in Illustrator, how to create a flyer, a simple flyer in Illustrator. So now let's try to export this and see. When you export, select everything and move it to your export. Then select this to arrange it in one, then export. So you export. If you export in ×4, it's going to be in ×4 folder. So we have a ×4 folder over here. You double click so we see our job, how it looks. So you see it perfectly okay. This is just what we want. Okay, so thank you all. This is all about it in this tutorial. Next we are going to create, we're gonna learn a brief on how to make these conversions in Photoshop. Okay, someone requested this and we are gonna do it. Let's just take a little time to do this. Okay, so we create our first color like we did in the previous tutorial. We create our second color. What is going on here? We create our second color and we create our third color. So our second color is what? Our second color is let's just make it white over here. Let's make it white here. So we make our second color white, but white with a stroke, remember. So we're gonna make it a stroke to make this look. Oh, forget about the stroke. Forget about the stroke, because already we know what we are doing. So the next is gonna be yellow. So this part, we are gonna place this icon here. Very simple. We have our yellow, we have our white, and we have our black. So now let's import the logo and start work immediately. So I'm gonna import the one with white background. So we have our logo in Photoshop. Let's zoom closely so you don't get confused. You see, we're having a problem here because this logo quality is very poor. So what we are going to do is to expand this logo so its quality will look nice in Photoshop. Okay, you see, what problem we are facing here is not actually Illustrator, is Photoshop. So we are going to create a new layer, a new artboard. So we create this on 1000 × 1000. When creating your layer for basic square 1000 × 1000, make sure the resolution is 300. This could be the mistake I made in the previous one by creating it. So we make this, then we can now create our squares. So this square is going to be yellow. The next is going to be white, and the next is going to be black. So this is going to be black, and this is going to be white. Sorry I'm taking much of our time, but I'm trying to make sure we understand exactly what is going on. So now we are going to be fast. Import your logo here. Import your logo. You see the quality now, it looks nicer because we are using a higher resolution. Very good. So zoom closely so we start our work. So now we are going to lock these layers by clicking Ctrl Slide. Okay, I paused this. Sorry for that. We're gonna lock this. Let's lock it probably from here. Let's see if we can find a way to lock this too. I don't know. Let's go to can't find the lock tool. This is a big problem for us because my record tool used the shortcut I use for my lock. So let's forget about the lock and continue with our work. Okay, so now we have this on yellow background. It works perfectly well. Now duplicate this and place on a white background. We see the problem we are facing here. See the problem we are facing. Let's assume we don't have a white background. It's already on a white background. See the problem we are facing. So now we are trying to convert this to work on a white background on Photoshop. Remember, if you try converting this with the color, picking the color immediately, you're gonna have a problem. So what you're gonna do is to select this icon over here. It's called the rectangular marquee tool. Select rectangular marquee tool. Select over this work you are doing. Make sure you first of all come here, Ctrl Z, come here, click option and click on rasterize layer. Make sure your rasterize is not a smart object. You don't work with the marquee tool on a non-rasterized object. So when you rasterize it first, you come to the marquee tool, you select everything here, click on V, the V in your keyboard, V, then click on the arrow up key in your keyboard. You see, it selects everything in that angle. So now we are ready to start converting our logo. Now, how to convert the logo is to do this. You select this color. You select this color picker tool, the color picker tool over here, the bucket tool. I mean, it's not the color picker tool, the bucket tool. Now we select the color we want to work on. Okay, for this we want to change all these angles. We want to change these angles to yellow. These angles now to yellow. So we pick on the color we want to work with. Now we start painting the angles we want to make yellow. Okay, we want all these angles to be yellow. You can either do it like this or select your brush tool. It's over here. But the brush tool, we have a problem. You have to reduce the size of the brush tool. So this is simply how to do it. If you select the brush tool, we want to use the brush tool now because we can't use the bucket tool here. So select the brush tool, select this part, hold on the shift, and then you erase on this part. Its opacity is low. So select again, we do it once again. So this is basically how to convert your logo on. You can still Ctrl deselect. See how it looks now? It's now converted with the same resolution we bring it in. It's still the same resolution it's going to maintain. Okay, why? Because this icon, you used this to guide the points so it doesn't lose the quality. First of all, before you start converting, make sure you remove it from being a smart object by clicking option, then rasterize layer. Then the next thing you are going to do is to select the rectangular marquee tool, select everything, then click on V. Okay, then click on your arrow up key, and that is it. Okay, while we're having this error, we are selecting on a non-rasterized layer. Okay, so we select on this one, click on V, where first we select everything. Click on V, then click up. It will select everything we want to work with. Okay, now we can now select our paint tool and start painting on all angles we want to work with. Okay, once again, this is Manuel signing out from Catersgraphix. I hope you enjoy it. If you have not subscribed to the channel, make sure to subscribe to the channel. Till we meet next time, have a wonderful day.